Yo, what up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy, aka DFS Dudes, and we're here to present our NFL Week 4 running back picks. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below. This way you can watch all of our NFL, NBA, and MLB videos. And if you haven't already, go check out our new website at www.dfscheatsheet.com. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content such as these videos, everything that you need. So check it out, www.dfscheatsheet.com. So, hey, man, I'm ready for this week. How you doing out there, Jeremy?
I'm good, man. Just looking to get in this video, get through these picks, give the guys some content, and move on.
Definitely. So yeah, I mean, you got anything to say about this week in general, or anything about sports right now? Or are you ready just to jump into these picks?
This is kind of, pretty much the only thing going on is football. A little bit of a pennant race with baseball, but other than that, I'm into football.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we'll just get into it then. I'll get it started with us. A guy that I think is probably just going to be a cash game lock. I'm the cash game guy. That's what I, play mostly. You got Alvin Kamara for the Saints. I mean, I know you guys are like, he's the obvious play, but it may not be obvious to some people. The guy, though, the thing I really like about this guy is this is the last week before Ingram comes back from his suspension. So they're going to give this guy a monster workload, and it's not like they haven't already. He's just been a monster. He leads the league with 12 red zone targets. That's between running backs, receivers, everybody in general. The guy's leading the league, so you really got to like him. He's just been on fire. So I definitely think that this is going to be a great game for him this week. Last week he had a monster game, 16 carries. He had 20 targets? No, 16 carries. Let me look that up real quick. But anyways, I know he had 190 yards total last week. So, hey, he had a monster week for sure. But, yeah, no, I'll get that stat. So, Kamara is definitely going to be my – hey, Jeremy, can you pull that up for me real quick?
Which stat are you looking for?
Kamara's total last week. I think I wrote it down wrong.
Yeah. One thing I'll touch on is while I'm pulling that stat up. So last week, you're absolutely correct. He had 16 rushing attempts for 66 yards, 20 targets, 15 receptions for 124 yards.
Hey, bro, I just messed up right now, right? Because that's what I have written down on my board. But I was like, there's no fucking way that he got that much. Okay, so I'm right. Yeah. So he got 16 carries, 20 targets for 190 yards. Like, come on. And then, no Ingram
this week. And score a touchdown.
Exactly. He's going to get a touchdown this week. He may get 2 touchdowns this week. They're going to feed him the ball because they know that he's going to kind of get a break with Ingram coming back. Hey, bro, so I was right. The Giants defense, they suck, all that. But I just thought I read it wrong because that's ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, anyways, who you got for us, bro?
So one thing I'll touch on with Kamara is he has 25 total touches in the red zone. He's the leader by far in red zone touches. Last week he had 14 touches. He has 25 total touches in the red zone, averaging 8.3 yards per touch and 3 touchdowns. The next closest guy is at 14 red zone touches. So he's got 11 more total red zone touches than anybody else does in the NFL. And the next guy who has 14 touches, he's only at 4.7 yards per touch, where Kamara's at 8.3 yards per touch. So you just got to love him for red zone opportunity. I think even when Ingram comes back, unless they have the ball inside the 2, 3, 4 yard line, I think you can still look for Kamara to be a red zone weapon. But having said that, the guy's a lock right now as far as cash game goes, just for 1, his popularity, and 2, his opportunity. The first guy I'm going to go with is number 3 on that red zone touch list. He only has 8 touches in the red zone, but his conversion rate for touchdowns is at 50%. So he has 8 total red zone touches, 4 red zone touchdowns. That's Carlos Hyde, $6,800 going against the Raiders. The Raiders don't have a lot of talent on their defense. They have a lot of talent offensively, and I do look for them to get their offense moving. Marshawn Lynch, being the spokes guy now, all of a sudden wants to talk to the media about how good or how close he thinks their offense is to being really explosive, but that says nothing about that defense. I think Cleveland feels good right now. They got kind of the mojo going with Baker Mayfield going to start. That locker room, as you saw on Hard Knocks, is all rallied behind him. He's a guy I absolutely love going back to the Bay Area. You know, on the season, he does his 4 touchdowns are red zone touchdowns, but he's got 61 carries for 203 yards. So he also has the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a total running back. He's a 3-down running back. Just a guy I like going against a really bad defense in a spot that I think he can go overlooked because the exposure people are going to look to have in that game on that side of the ball is going to be to Baker Mayfield. It's going to be to Jarvis Landry. And, you know, it's going to go – they'll be 1-2 in ownership in terms of that game and those teams, right? But Carlos Hyde is a guy who's going to get a lot of opportunity. He's going against a really bad defense. Very fair price at $1,600.
Yeah, no, definitely. I like to play. You know, we've been talking about pretty much that whole, you know, offense all week. Definitely think that they're going to have a solid week this week. So I'm going to move on to my next play. I'm going to go with Giovanni Bernard. Liked him last week, and some of the other guys came out, and I went away from him, you know, such as Clement, Murray. And, you know, I knew that he was going to be the best play of all 3 of them, but the other guys were, you know, much cheaper. And, you know, he had a solid game. He had 12 carries, 9 targets, 21 total targets. 21 total touches in general. This slate this game has the highest implied total on the slate, projected points to be scored. You know, and Falcons, they're going to probably get up. You know, the Cincinnati, they don't have, you know, like a monster downfield offense. So, I mean, they look over a lot over the field. They do occasionally hit A.J. Green, but Bernard's a good catcher out the backfield, and, you know, he's going to get some definite dump offs. So I like Bernard. I think he's a very fair price. Didn't move up very much from last week at all.
And I'm going to go with another guy whose price hasn't really moved at all either, and that's Saquon Barkley. I mean, I just think the kid is everybody saw how good he was in college. Everybody saw how good he was coming out. He was a no-brainer as far as being a top pick in the first round. It was just a matter of where he was going to go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? The guy's talented. And you look at what he's done over the first couple of weeks, you know, you got to take into account that he had a monster game target-wise and reception-wise against the Dallas Cowboys. But, hey, that's what the game flow dictated. And that's, you know, I think that speaks to the guy's skill set, right? Because in a game where they're coming from behind, it would have been really easy just to take him out of the game and not run him or not try and get him the football. But they did try to get him the football. They threw it to him. So having said that, at $8,000, the guy's got 46 carries, 216 yards, 28 targets, 21 receptions on those 28 targets, 137 total yards, going in a game that has the second highest over-under at 50, 1 point behind that Atlanta and Cincinnati total. So I really like Barkley. I think he continues to score. I think he continues to get fed the football, both carrying it. And I think his safety net is they've demonstrated no matter what happens in the game and which way the game flow goes, try to feed that guy the ball, whether it's giving it to him rushing or giving it to him via checking the ball down out of the backfield or just being really involved in the passing game as a whole. So if you get a game, which I think this game could shoot out because I don't think New Orleans' defense is very good, he could get a very nice game with rushing the ball and having a ton of targets as well.
Yeah, no, I like Barkley a lot. You know, I watch. Obviously, I'm a Cowboy fan. You're a Cowboy fan. The only time I really watched the whole entire game was when he played against my Cowboys, and he got a ton of targets for sure. I mean, Eli, he's getting pressured so much. He's getting a lot of dump offs in the backfield. Plus, you know, he's proven to us that he can run the ball. So, you know, he is, you know, a solid 3-down back, like you said. He is in my top 5 of running backs this week. I'm going to move on to my last running back pick. It's going to be Ezekiel Elliott for the Cowboys. They're going against Detroit this week. Detroit, I mean, they've allowed the most rushing yards to any team through 3 weeks. And, I mean, their defense just can't stop the run, and they're getting gashed. And even last week, you know, they didn't do too bad against the Patriots as far as on the ground, and they're still leading the league. So that just tells you, you know, how bad that they really have been doing. Ezekiel Elliott, one thing about him I don't like is his carries are down a little bit from last year. But at the same time, now he's getting more targets this year. And so, it's kind of working out. Like, Dak, he can't throw downfield really, so he's checking off to Ezekiel more. And, they got to continue getting him the ball any way they can in the open field. And, so I think that Elliott is a good GPP play this week going against the Detroit Lions.
The thing I like about Zeke this week is the news kind of is he's not going to go ask for more carries or more touches. So whenever there's news like that around a player and he's saying, nah, hey, I'm happy with where I'm at in the offense, I don't need to go ask for more touches, I think they make it a point to give him the football this week. I think that they've tried to let Dak be that guy, and they just don't have the weapons around Dak. They just don't. So if you're going to have one guy you're going to build an offense around right now in Dallas, it has to be Ezekiel Elliott. He has to be the guy that gets the carries. He has to be the guy. You can go back and look at his rookie season when he was catching screens. I mean, he caught a screen against Green Bay for a huge play. He got a screen against the Pittsburgh Steelers in that game, and he went 80 yards with that, a monster game he had. They have not this year in the passing game that much. I think that this week is a week where they could definitely try to get him a couple of screen plays, get him a couple of balls out of the backfield, and then just say, look, Detroit, you're not very good against the run. We're going to line up in sets this week where we plan on pounding the ball down your throat. I think it's a very good pick. Anytime we can get a Cowboy guy and the reasons match up, I'm all for it. And I definitely love Zeke.
And real quick, one thing is, bro, the reason that our offensive line is struggling is because our center's hurt, man. He's one of the top centers in the league. They said he's an all-pro center, and that's the main reason that we're struggling a little bit as far as protection, you know what I mean, and opening the holes for Zeke. But, nonetheless, it's not an excuse. Our offensive line is still above average, and this week is a great week for him. So who you got for us to finish this off?
So I'm going to finish it off with Melvin Gordon, $8,700, and the main reason here is the Chargers are in a good spot, right? The Chargers have the highest implied total on the slate, 28.8 points. And, there'll be a pattern throughout the season. You can check here, and we're going to pick people from games in high implied totals because it's opportunity. Last week we were picking players in games from high implied totals. It is going to happen every week in and week out. Melvin Gordon is a guy that we talk about Ezekiel Elliott and maybe them taking the opportunity this week to give him more involved in the offense. Melvin Gordon's a guy that they've already shown is a staple in their offense and what they're going to do. The only thing they haven't done with Melvin Gordon is actually commit to running him 20 or 25 times in the game. I think this week, this game could be just close enough to where the Chargers actually have to pound the ball to run the clock out. And I think you can see him get his targets and his bigger rushing plays in the first half. And I think in the fourth quarter, it'll go Melvin Gordon time, and they will actually commit to giving him the ball to run that game out. $8,700, 39 carries, 172 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 17 receptions, 144 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. The guy's well-balanced, equal opportunist, right? And it's a kind of a Saquon Barkley type of fit where they're going to get him involved in the offense one way or the other. He's game flow protected because he's a pass catcher out of the backfield. They don't have to take him out if they fall behind to put in another guy who can't catch the football. If they get up ahead, he's a guy who can just run between the tackles and run the clock out. So I think that when you look at the main slate this week, there's not a lot of high-end running backs. You've got Kamara and you've got Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon, I think, is a really good pivot off of Kamara, who's also in a really good spot. And outside of last week, the Saints were behind. They were behind the entire game. They kept rallying up. They'd tie it. Atlanta would go up again. They'd rally again. Atlanta would go up again. So they had to throw the ball a lot. Kamara is a huge weapon. They've got Michael Thomas and they've got Alvin Kamara. Those are their weapons. That game, I don't think it will be regular that Kamara gets 20 targets or even 10 targets in a game, right? Melvin Gordon, though, when you look at it, he's a staple in that offense. He is their number one running back, both as a pass catcher on third down or in protection and as the guy who runs between the tackles. So I think he's a really good pivot. I think he's safe as far as game flow goes and price extremely fair and a really good opportunity.
Yeah, no, I definitely like Melvin Gordon. I was going to say something about him. You said it. You took the words right out of my mouth. Melvin Gordon is just like Barkley. He's just like Kamara. they're all the same running back. They're going to get 10+ targets in the pass game. Plus, they all have a chance every single week to get 20 carries. Major workload. He's a great pivot. He's going to be lower owned than the other guys. So yeah, that's a really, really good pick at running back. And I mean, that's all I got for running back this week. Really, those are my top plays. I mean, I covered 3. You covered 2 of my other top plays. Those are 5 of my top plays right there. You got anything else for him out there?
We got a quick question from Brandon Parker. He's asking, he has Devontae Adams and Tevin Coleman. He got offered Dalvin Cook and T.Y. Hilton in the trade. I think that's in his annual league. Brandon, I apologize, man. We don't really do the annual thing. This is more daily. But if that was my team, the thing I'll touch on with Devontae Adams is it looks right now like Geronimo Allison is the clear number 2 wide receiver there in Green Bay. You've got an opportunity to get a number 1. The only thing I'd say with that is when Devontae Freeman comes back, Tevin Coleman is going to take a back seat, and he's going to be a third down, change of pace running back. So trade because I'm going to get a number 1 receiver in exchange for a number 2 receiver, and I'm going to get a number 1 running back in exchange for a guy who's filling in a lead role right now for a guy who hasn't played.
Hey, what was the trade again?
The trade Adams and Tevin Coleman. He got for Dalvin Cook and T.Y. Hilton.
So Dalvin Cook and T.Y. Hilton for Coleman, and
he would give up Devontae Adams and Tevin Coleman.
Oh, got you. I mean, I think you're right about Coleman for sure. I mean, I think it's it could go either way. So which way are you saying that he should go?
I think you clearly get a number 1 receiver in T.Y. Hilton, who has a healthy Andrew Luck back, in exchange for a guy who I think right now is probably their number 3 wide receiver. I think Allison is clear-cut their number 2 wide receiver for Green Bay so far this season.
Yeah.
And on the flip side of that, Dalvin Cook may have a hamstring injury, but he period point blank in the story. So you're getting 2 number 1 guys in exchange for 2 number 2 guys for the right now, and a season-long league, it's all about the stretch run, right? So I would definitely take that trade.
Yeah.
Just for the simple fact that I'm getting 2 guys who are clear-cut number 1s in exchange for 2 number 2s.
For sure. So, I ain't gonna lie, I like answering questions for people. Hey, if you guys got any questions, hit us in the comment section below. We'll get to them on the next video. Make sure that you have those notifications turned on, though. This way, when we are answering your questions, you don't miss the video. And, yeah, we're going to be back. We may be back tonight or tomorrow sometime with our quarterback pick. No, I'm sorry. Tomorrow we're going to do our player pool, correct?
Player pool.
Player pool tomorrow. We'll be back.
We'll probably be back in about 30 minutes, right, to give quarterbacks. I know we're going to take just a short break real quick, and then we'll be right back to give our quarterback plays.
And then, and then in the morning, we got a couple of videos we're going to do with the DFS 5-pack guys. We're going to collab on those with them. We got a bunch of content coming out. So, hey, make sure that you go check out the website, dfscheatsheet.com. Make sure that you're subscribed. This way you don't miss any of our videos. I'm sure they are very helpful. And, hey, I'm out, guys. Peace out.